This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
And here we have a specimen from the early 2000s, a legacy investing platform. Please don't touch the exhibit, folks. It could crash.
Ready to step out of the financial history museum? At Public.com, you can invest in almost everything. Stocks, bonds, options, and more. You could even put your cash to work at an industry-leading 4.1% APY. Leave your clunky, outdated platform behind. Go to Public.com and fund your account in 5 minutes or less. Paid for by Public Investing Inc., member FINRA and SIPC. Full disclosures at Public.com/disclosures.
Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you wanna get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
You know, some people say that Odoo business management software is like fertilizer, the way it promotes growth and all. But other people say Odoo is like a magic beanstalk because it grows with your company and is also magically affordable. And there's some people who would even say Odoo's individual software programs come together to build the perfect suite like building blocks. Well, Odoo is all of these things. Fertilizer, magic beanstalk, building blocks for business. So sign up now at odoo.com. ODOO.com.
Experience the magic of James Taylor live in concert, and we've got your shot to win a pair of tickets to see the legendary singer-songwriter along with this all-star band next Tuesday, June 17th at XL Energy Center. Caller number 11 right now will win your way in with a pair of tickets. 1-800-320-5326. See James Taylor live in concert at the XL Energy Center. 1-800-320-5326. Caller 11. Good luck.
Looky here. John Bonus, the Twins Geek from twinsdaily.com and the Gleeman and the Geek podcast. How you doing, John?
Hi, kids. How you doing?
Great.
Good.
Just happy we still have a relevant Minnesota Twins baseball team in the middle of June.
We really do. It's a relief. I'm not gonna lie. I wonder how much that affected the team to some extent going through that at the beginning of the season and just kind of digging your way out of it, and now getting to the point where every day, I mean, you certainly don't want to get back to that. You don't want to go back to what 7-15 felt like, so I would think that would provide a little extra incentive every day to get up and put the work in. And you've seen the stick, and now go for the carrot,
Well, it's bizarre because they got off to the slow start last year, and then they came on, and then got to the very slow ending.
Yeah, it's almost been a carbon copy.
But they literally made changes to how they were running spring training this year to make sure, hey, we don't get off to a slow start. Yeah, exactly. And then at that point, you had to have thought, man, this is as low as it gets.
And that's what made it so disheartening, right? I mean, a couple things made it disheartening. The first is that the way they ended last year. Right, that was what really made it disheartening, is the way that team faded for the last 7 weeks of the season last year, and then they started that way for the first 3 weeks of the season this year, and you start to think maybe this is the team that we have. Maybe we're just a bad team. That happens, right? We're seeing it with the Orioles right now. We're seeing it. Sorry, Brett, with the Braves a little bit right now. We certainly saw it last year with the White Sox, where suddenly they went from, well, they could be contenders to, oh no, this is bad. Everything's gone wrong all at once. And just to get out of that, certainly, the big win streak helps. But, if you take a look at the schedule they have had the last 3 weeks, take a look at all the teams that are competing with the Twins right now for the wild card. It's let's see, Tampa. They're tied with Tampa and with, not Cleveland. Cleveland's half a game back. I don't know. Let's see. They're tied with Tampa. They've got Toronto. I'm sorry. Yeah. Tied with Tampa and Toronto, right? Yep. They've got Cleveland right behind them. They've got Kansas City right behind them. They got Seattle right behind them. Well, that's exactly the teams they just played for the last 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. Those teams and the A's are the teams that they just played over the last 3 weeks. It's going to be a really interesting American League race this year. So, I mean, you've got a bunched group, and you've got a lot of teams who are, really good in some ways and then all really flawed in some ways. And the Twins match that description.
What is your level of confidence that the Twins can sustain where they are, given you now don't have Pablo Lopez, arguably your best pitcher for the, 2 months minimum?
Right, yeah. Right.
Don't really know the timeline. And
right. Yeah, 3 months.
You're already at a point now, not that Zebby Matthews is Cy Young in the future, but given when you already have one starter out, it starts to get pretty thin there in that rotation. You're at the point now where you can't lose any of your starters.
I mean, we took a look at this, at how well this pitching staff was performing, like 2 weeks ago. Took a look at how well the pitching staff was performing, one of the top 3 in the American League, or probably top 3 maybe in baseball, but definitely the top 1 of 3 in the American League. And then said, even better, like even if some bad things happen, you've got some depth. We've got at least 7 probable, major league caliber starters in the organization. We at that point, they hadn't really dealt with any, significant injuries to any of them. You got a deep bullpen. And within 2 weeks, 2 of those guys go down. Now we're at the point where Simeon Woods Richardson is likely to be called back up after making 3 starts in St. Paul after being demoted for Zebby Matthews, because now Zebby is hurt. And now, now you're looking a little thinner right now. Like, you can take a look at, listen, they've still got some good arms at St. Paul, but not all of them have been thriving, and there's really only one down there right now that isn't even on the 40-man roster that you'd want to turn to, maybe. That's Andrew Morris. So, it's I still have a fair amount of faith, because the opposite side is true as well, which is yes, they've lost some starting pitching, but they've also regained some of their hitters. Matt Wallner is back in the lineup. Byron Buxton is back in the lineup. Carlos Correa is back in the lineup. Luke Keeschel is on the mend. We might see him. He can't be activated before like June 25th because he's on the 60-day IL, but I wouldn't be shocked if he's, available soon after that. So, you get some, you take some away. Win some, you lose some.
Speaking of that rotation, how about the season Chris Paddock's having? Where
my goodness,
2-5 because he cannot get any run support. But I think he would take 3.35 ERA for Chris Paddock. He would have taken that at the beginning of the year, and poor guy can't get rewarded for it.
We talked about him a little bit on the Gleam and the Geek podcast today. That's the one on Patreon, so you won't hear it on the free show. But I think he is 3-9. Other than his first start, which was a disaster, he's got about a 2.5 ERA, and he's like, the team is 3-9 in those games.
Crazy.
Now last year, they were something like 11-6 in games, and he had like a 5 ERA. That's just baseball, and part of it is it's actually been a double whammy for him. The team has not scored runs, which is the obvious one, but also the bullpen has hurt him, which they did on Saturday. The bullpen has something like a 6.5 ERA after he leaves the game.
Yet for most of the season, the bullpen's been great.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, exactly right. The bullpen has been...
They're putting too much pressure on themselves now because they know I can't blow the Chris Paddock start.
Everyone wants to help the sheriff out. Yeah. It's Paddock has been the best surprise of the rotation so far. We spent most of the offseason assuming he would be traded. That they either would want the $7.5 million they're paying him this year to spend on something else, or they would just want to pocket it. Both of them are valid concerns when you are, a fan of the Minnesota Twins. They did not. They held on to him. Then we kind of went, well, it gives you a lot of depth, I guess. They are always hesitant to lose that depth, and now they need that depth. So it's a good thing they held on. I think right now, I don't mean any disrespect to Bailey Ober, but Bailey Ober will tell you right now he's not pitching his best right now, and that makes Paddock essentially the number 2 guy in this rotation. With Lopez out and Ryan, being really good. Paddock is number 2.
If you want to join the conversation, we'd love to take your text message questions or even just your comments for John Bonus. You can text us at the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line at 64686. I believe the talkback feature right now, at least on my end, is not working. So we'll try to hopefully get that fixed, and that could be an option at some point as well. But if you want to text any questions or comments to John Bonus, 64686. That is the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line. I want to get to many other things, including Royce Lewis.
Yeah.
And the slumping and coming out of the slump that he's been doing. We'll talk more about that with John Bonus from TwinsDaily.com and the Gleeman and the Geek podcast.
And here we have a specimen from the early 2000s, a legacy investing platform. Please don't touch the exhibit, folks. It could crash.
Ready to step out of the financial history museum? At public.com, you can invest in almost everything: stocks, bonds, options, and more. You could even put your cash to work at an industry-leading 4.1% APY. Leave your clunky, outdated platform behind. Go to public.com and fund your account in 5 minutes or less. Paid for by Public Investing Inc., member FINRA and SIPC. Full disclosures at public.com/disclosures.
Get this. Adults with financial literacy skills have 82% more wealth than those who don't. From swimming lessons to piano classes, us parents invest in so many things to enrich our kids' lives. But are we investing in their future financial success? With Greenlight, you can teach your kids financial literacy skills like earning, saving, and investing. And this investment costs less than that after-school treat. Start prioritizing their financial education and future today with a risk-free trial at greenlight.com/iHeart. Greenlight.com/iHeart.
Come on, why is this taking so long? This thing is ancient.
Still using yesterday's tech? Upgrade to the ThinkPad X1 Carbon. Ultra-light, ultra-powerful, and built for serious productivity. With Intel Core Ultra processors, blazing speed, and AI-powered performance, it keeps up with your business, not the other way around.
Whoa, this thing moves.
Stop hitting snooze on new tech. Win the tech search at Lenovo.com. Lenovo. Unlock AI experiences with the ThinkPad X1 Carbon, powered by Intel Core Ultra processors, so you can work, create, and boost productivity all on one device.
So you want to start a business. You might think you need a team of people and fancy tech skills, but you don't. You just need GoDaddy Aero. I'm Walton Goggins, and as an actor, I'm an expert in looking like I know what I'm doing, even when I don't. And I like the sound of starting my own business, Walton Goggins Goggle Glasses. But I'm an actor. I don't know what I'm doing. I needed help. GoDaddy Aero uses AI to create everything you need to grow a business. It'll make you a unique logo. It'll create a custom website. It'll write social posts for you and even set you up with a social media calendar. I didn't even realize I needed a social media calendar. GoDaddy Aero will take your idea that sounds good and make a business that looks like you know what you're doing. GoDaddy Aero can get your business up and running in minutes. You know what that sounds like? It sounds like a plan. Get started at GoDaddy.com/Aero. That's GoDaddy.com/AIRO.
If you want to chime in what's happening with your favorite KFAN shows, you can make your voice heard on the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line. Just let us know what you have to say by texting that message to 64686. That is 64686. Standard text message and data rates apply.
I got a bunch of texts at the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line. We'll get to those shortly. I do want to ask you, I have to imagine as someone who, I guess you don't talk about Twins for a living, but you make money talking about the Twins. Like you're a Twins analyst, right?
Sure,
like you do it on a regular basis.
It's always interesting to hear somebody try to categorize what the hell I do for a living.
How do I categorize it?
Just to clear, I don't know either. I never know what to tell people.
I think you get paid well for your Twins takes, but it's not your living.
Yeah, that's
right.
Yeah, pretty much now it's my living.
Okay, well, okay, all right.
For most of my life, it was not my living.
Okay,
now it's my living.
Now it is. Okay,
that's right.
So I have to imagine like baseball of all the sports has to be the most challenging to like predict what's going to happen in the future because it's such a fickle. Like I've always thought like hitting alone, I feel is so confidence based, right? Like you go through stretches where you're feeling good, and it's not even like mechanics, or you can't even like figure out. And then I think the point I'm getting to is like a guy like Royce Lewis, where this guy looked like he was getting Kirby Puckett comparisons,
right?
And now has just gone through two awful slumps.
Yeah,
I mean, biblically bad slumps for a guy that we thought like this is the next great Twins player, and he still could be.
Sure.
Looks like at least over the last 4 or 5 days here, he's broken out of the slump. He had a 3-for-3 night the other night.
I think he went 2 for 2 yesterday as a pinch hitter. Yeah.
So, like with Royce, like when you're trying to analyze him, are you just going, "This is just mental, psychological"? Do you see something mechanically wrong? Like, how do you evaluate a player like that?
I mean, I don't. Maybe I'm missing it, but I didn't see anything obvious. Like I didn't see him. We talked a little bit about that again on the Gleeman and the Geek this morning, where we're like, he definitely was chasing some pitches outside, but that can also just be you're pressing because you're 0 for 30 and you're chasing some pitches that you wouldn't normally chase a little bit. You're just trying to hit a 7-run home run every at bat. So I didn't see anything specifically about him, but that isn't necessarily good news. Because not only was he slumping this year, he's hitting 184. He slumped at the end of last year too. Those last 7 weeks that the Twins nose dove. Yeah. He nose dove. I mean, he wasn't alone in that, by the way. Everybody did. Miranda was down, Julian was down, Brooks Lee was down. Everybody who was Correa was out, Buxton was out. I mean, those 7 weeks were what hurt the team. What killed the team was the hitting falling apart completely. And then we saw that again at the beginning of this season. That's why we were so worried about this team. But Royce Lewis was, this isn't just this season that he's had this slump, or even the 2 0 for 30 plus at bats that he's already faced this season. It also went back to last year. And so then it becomes a question of maybe it's not confidence, maybe it's not mechanical, maybe it's not the league making, or maybe it's the league making an adjustment that he just cannot undo. I'll say this: his demeanor didn't. He's one of the most positive, social, quotable guys on the team. He makes himself available regularly, and always seems to have sort of an upbeat attitude about whatever he is facing, including a guy who went through 2 ACL surgeries, right? Like the day he went through those surgeries, you get a sense of I'll be back, it hurts, but I'm going to find my way through it. Like he could be a motivational coach, as well as, and he certainly seems to be for himself. So, if you see any cracks in that at all, that it's a sign that, he's feeling it. And there were certainly some signs that he was feeling it over these last few weeks. Now, how do you not? Right, of course, of course. I mean, as disappointed as we are, you got to imagine, he was thinking to himself, "I'm Kirby Puckett. I'm going to be a $40 million player. I'm going to slug 500 the whole career." Right? Yeah. And then to hit that, we're seeing, guys do go through slumps. It was really encouraging to see him get a few hits in Sacramento, one or two key hits in Sacramento, and then 3 for 3 on Friday. I think he still got an RBI on Saturday, and then come in yesterday and do a little bit. So maybe this is all just old news. But, we spent a fair amount of time on Friday's free podcast talking about at what point do you send him down to St. Paul again to reset? Because it kind of looked like we were already at that point. And it's not like they don't have coverage. They've got Brooks Lee. They don't have anybody to replace the bat that we saw in 2023, 2022, the first half of 2024. Right. Nobody has that. Yeah. But they've got coverage in terms of Willie Castro and Brooks Lee, and to some extent Cody Clemens. They've got some infielders that they could play there while he tries to reset things. It didn't help that. Also, it looked like Jose Miranda started to heat up a little bit in St. Paul this week. He had a couple of home runs early. I haven't checked out how he did the last couple of games. But anyway, I'm hoping that it was just I also say this. One other bright spot is he looked decent in spring training. Before he got hurt in spring training, he looked decent. Now, so it wasn't like in spring training we had concerns looking at him, which we did say about Correa, who started the season slow as well, right? So, that is one bright spot on it. So maybe suggest, no, this was just a slump. And he's, maybe he's come out of it again. And, he's also, he also clearly came back from that hamstring injury probably sooner than he needed to. His rehab assignment in St. Paul was, he was there a week and a half, 2 weeks, but a lot of those games were rained out. I'm not sure how much he really had to kind of hone his craft in the batter's box. So I think we're all just kind of waiting and seeing. But what I'll say is I don't see anything obvious. I don't see they're just feeding him off-speed pitches, or he can't catch up with the fastball or whatever. It just seems to some extent, it seemed like he was unlucky on some of those things, but the stats say differently as well, that he is also striking out more. So we'll see.
Text message from Mike in Woodbury. He says, I think that we need another hitter towards the top of the order, someone that can get on base a lot, 300 hitter type. And I guess my question for you is, other than Luis Arias, do those hitters still exist in 2025? And then how have you felt about Byron Buxton in the leadoff spot?
I have loved Byron Buxton in the leadoff spot. Now, I will say this about Buxton. Buxton is not a typical leadoff hitter because he doesn't walk a lot. He doesn't get on base at a real high level, I think. Listen, he's having a great year this year. He's still got a 320 on base percentage, which isn't bad, but it's not great. What I like about him as a leadoff, though, is that once he gets on, he's a danger. He will change things, and we saw it a couple different times in Seattle in the last weekend series in Seattle where, it's the bottom of the ninth or the top of the ninth, you're trying to scratch out one run, and you get Buxton on base, and you're like, all right, I've got a decent shot here. Like, he's going to get himself to second base, and now I got a couple different guys that can drive him around, and I don't think it's a coincidence that this team's slump, early season slump, sort of changed, kind of turned around once the Twins, and specifically Buxton, and to a lesser extent Keishel, or also to a greater extent Keishel, although he was only around for a week or so, started stealing bases and started being aggressive on the bases. Mm-hmm. The Twins' philosophy from 2019, when they had the Bomba squad, all the way through 2023 was pretty clearly, we're going to get a bunch of pull hitters who can hit the ball in the air and we're just going to hit the ball hard when we want to hit the ball hard. Mm-hmm. And that worked. They had a lot of strikeouts, but they were also a top 5 offense in the American League for those years, right? Sometimes the top offense in the American League.
Yeah.
Pretty clearly, if you take a look at the free agents they have chased since, or signed since, I should say, and also just talking with them about their batting philosophy and the new hitting instructions, they have gone away from that. They are not just pull hitters anymore. They are trying to put it right. Like Ty France is a great example. Ty France is a guy they brought in this year, and Ty France likes to hit the ball to the opposite field. He's not trying to pull it into the left field bleachers all the time. Whereas, somebody like Vasquez, who they signed before that, was that example. He's not necessarily a great hitter, but when he hits it, you get hits like you did yesterday, which is an upper deck left field blast, mm-hmm. right? I don't know if that philosophy has they've cut down on their strikeouts, but I don't know if their offense also has not been as good as it was when they were doing that. But where it does come in handy is when you're trying to get like one run in the ninth inning, and you're not just having 4 guys go up there and swing for the fences and see if you get something, right?
You can actually manufacture
right.
it.
And I feel like, and I actually think, whereas I think Rocco caught a lot of heat for not playing that way, I think Rocco would have told you, I don't have the personnel to play that. And now he kind of does. Now between Buxton, to some extent Willie Castro, if Keishel comes up here again, I think Keishel's that. Harrison Bader also on that. You're seeing a lot. You're seeing a team that has been put together to try and win in different ways rather than just one sort of, we're going to yank the ball as hard as we can to left field.
And I've always thought that's important. Just you never know what, depending on matchups in the playoffs, you can run into bad matchups that way.
I think that was their thought process as well, is that in the regular season, the hit the ball real hard, pull the ball real hard plays, and you get a lot of wins.
Yep.
But when you get to the offseason or you get to the postseason, you might need to win in different ways. And the way to develop that is to work on that throughout the regular season, make the postseason, and then hopefully have some more tools in your tool belt when you're facing teams that you can't just pull the ball into the left field stands, right? Or if you're left-handed, pull it into the right field stands. And so now, on the other hand, how good they have been at that, it's questionable. Like I said, this hasn't been a great offense since they've sort of switched that philosophy. We saw it last year during the 7-week stretch when they just completely fell apart, and we saw it at the beginning this year. The offense is climbing its way back up. I think I looked today, and they were about 15th in Major League Baseball in runs per game right now. So a perfectly average offense. And if they got a really good pitching staff and an average offense, they're probably a postseason team. And then and I wouldn't mind going into a postseason with a really good pitching staff and an average offense.
We'll continue to take your texts at the KFAN text line, 64686, the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line. We got one more segment, a longer segment, Talking Twins with Johnny Bonus. We'll do that next on the Tennafitzgerald.
And here we have a specimen from the early 2000s, a legacy investing platform. Please don't touch the exhibit, folks. It could crash.
Ready to step out of the financial history museum? At Public.com, you can invest in almost everything. Stocks, bonds, options, and more. You could even put your cash to work at an industry-leading 4.1% APY. Leave your clunky, outdated platform behind. Go to Public.com and fund your account in 5 minutes or less. Paid for by Public Investing Inc., member FINRA and SIPC. Full disclosures at Public.com/disclosures.
Come on, why is this taking so long? This thing is ancient.
Still using yesterday's tech? Upgrade to the ThinkPad X1 Carbon. Ultra-light, ultra-powerful, and built for serious productivity with Intel Core Ultra processors, blazing speed, and AI-powered performance that keeps up with your business, not the other way around.
Whoa, this thing moves.
Stop hitting snooze on new tech. Win the tech search at Lenovo.com. Lenovo. Unlock AI experiences with the ThinkPad X1 Carbon, powered by Intel Core Ultra processors, so you can work, create, and boost productivity all on one device.
So you want to start a business. You might think you need a team of people and fancy tech skills, but you don't. You just need GoDaddy Aero. I'm Walton Goggins, and as an actor, I'm an expert in looking like I know what I'm doing, even when I don't. And I like the sound of starting my own business, Walton Goggins Goggle Glasses. But I'm an actor. I don't know what I'm doing. I needed help. GoDaddy Aero uses AI to create everything you need to grow a business. It'll make you a unique logo. It'll create a custom website. It'll write social posts for you and even set you up with a social media calendar. I didn't even realize I needed a social media calendar. GoDaddy Aero will take your idea that sounds good and make a business that looks like you know what you're doing. GoDaddy Aero can get your business up and running in minutes. You know what that sounds like? It sounds like a plan. Get started at GoDaddy.com/Aero. That's GoDaddy.com/AIRO.
This message comes from Greenlight. Ready to start talking to your kids about financial literacy? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app that teaches kids and teens how to earn, save, spend wisely, and invest with your guardrails in place. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on what your kids are spending with real-time notifications. Join millions of parents and kids building healthy financial habits together on Greenlight. Get started risk-free at greenlight.com/iHeart.
All right, welcome back. Final segment of the Tennafitzgerald. John Bonus from the Gleeman and the Geek podcast and twinsdaily.com with me. Like I said, lots of text messages at the Bradshaw Bryan KFAN text line. You can text us at 64686. Love this annual question, John. I'm sure you've heard this question more than any other in the history of your Twins analyzation.
Should we get Shohei Ohtani? Is that the question? I don't think he's a great fit.
Forgot about that one. It's a question regarding the Twins. Is there any real possibility the Twins make a move at the deadline for a frontline starter, considering with the loss of Pablo and others?
Probably not.
Probably even more weird with the ownership situation, right?
The ownership situation is even... If the Ishbia thing might not have fallen through, maybe. But even then, I think if you take a look at... If the management of this team took a look at this team, they would say we need offense, not pitching. Now, if more arms go down, then I suppose they could be looking at starting pitching problems. But the truth is that this organization, already has a fair amount of pitching depth. They've been able to absorb a couple of injuries right now and still have a decent rotation. I mean, they're still a top 5 rotation probably in the American League. And there's still a number of arms that are, within a year or two of feeding this. I think the strength of this organization, Twins fans are going to have to get used to something, which is the strength of this organization going forward is going to be their pitching. That's going to be the strength of this team. I know that's a hard thing for Twins fans to accept, and you're certainly welcome to be cynical about it because the one thing you can bet on in baseball is you never have enough pitching. Right? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. But where this team is struggling has been hitting. You take a look at this. You take a look at the start of the 7-15 start, and you take a look at the 7-week fade they had last year. It has been the hitting that has hurt this team. It is they are thin when it comes to hitting, and when Buxton goes down or Correa goes down, and they go down, and Royce Lewis goes down. I mean, those guys have an injury history, especially over the last couple of years. They're going to need bats more than they're going to need pitching. So, and you're right. The other thing is that the ownership situation doesn't seem to be. There were a couple of stories that came out, a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, saying, no, some people really are interested in buying the Twins. And those were clearly from Twins sources. And when I see the Twins ball club start to try to tell people in the press, no, we've got people interested, then I get worried that there's nobody's interested.
Yes.
Right? I don't have any insight on that.
I was with you too, where I'm like, it's pretty easy to know. These are Twin sources. This isn't national learned.
Well, I'll also say this. When you don't hear anything, if you're going to hear something, just sort of from journalism 101 here, the team itself will want to talk about how many people want to buy it because they want that as leverage. They want to get that message out, right? But when the Ishbia thing came through, most of the sources for that, whether it was us or The Athletic or Star Tribune or something, were talking to the buyers, right? The buyers we were hearing from the buyers because the Twins organization and their selling side is pretty button-lipped, right? But buyers get excited and they start to talk and you start hearing rumors about it. The fact that you're not hearing anything, you're not hearing any names is also, I think, kind of a bad sign because if people were excited about this, they'd probably be talking about it a little bit. I mean, look, it's not in their best interest to, so that's on the other side of it. But they do get excited about whether you got. It's hard to not talk when you're on the verge of buying a baseball team. And we just haven't seen a lot of that.
I am not on the verge of buying the Twins, just for the record. I know.
Nor I. Although, we're thinking about maybe a GoFundMe. Ten and I could start that up.
If people want to chip in and help out the cause, you and I could take over.
Sure. We get the common esoteric approach to...
Here comes some negative. Usually when you ask for, people don't point out the positive stuff. They point out the negative stuff. So, Tom from Columbia Heights says, can we talk about Griffin Jacks and the fact that he has fingerprints on at least 6 or 7 losses this year?
Yeah.
He's already given up 4 home runs, as many as he did all last year. He cannot be trusted in a playoff run, and he's 30, so it's not like he's going to significantly adjust and improve.
Yeah, so we had a 20 or 30-minute discussion on that on the Gleeman and the Geek podcast this morning. Patreon.com/Gleeman. I'm sorry, you do have to pay for these. It's no longer $1 an episode. It's now $8 a month. I will say you will get your money's worth. I promise. If you like baseball talk, you're going to like it. Okay. I compared Griffin Jacks exactly the opposite of Ty France. So right now, Ty France, Twins fans love Ty France because Ty France keeps racking up RBIs and keeps getting hits in the clutch. He also has
reached base in 20 straight games.
Yeah, he's also not actually hitting very well for a first baseman. He's got a 710 OPS. He's 273. He's got a 372 slugging. That's just not what you can get from a first baseman. He's not a top half of Major League Baseball first baseman.
Since Justin Morneau, what have we had at first base?
No, agreed. I mean, Santana was pretty good last year, but yes. But nobody cares because in the clutch moments, he has absolutely been coming through.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, what that means is you can take a look at Ty France and you can say, going forward, I don't really trust Ty France. That doesn't mean Ty France hasn't done a great job. So far, he's done a great job of what he has been paid to do, which is drive in runs, right? So he's done a great job, and yet I don't trust him going forward. Griffin Jacks is exactly the opposite. Griffin Jacks has not done a great job, but I trust him going forward. His underlying numbers are as good as they have ever been. But he's given up a couple of big home runs. He's had a lot of little bloops in this. I mean, I hesitate to call it luck because I don't think Ty France is lucky when he's getting the hits, and I don't think you can completely write off Griffin Jacks as unlucky just because. I mean, he wasn't unlucky on that home run. He served up a home run. Like that was a home run ball. But if you take a look at Griffin Jacks' numbers outside of his ERA or his win probability added, he's been brutal. Don't get me wrong, he's been brutal. But he's also, let's take it up. 4.66 ERA, but that goes with 47 strikeouts in 29 innings.
That's crazy.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
47 strikeouts and 6 walks in 29 innings. I mean, he's been He's been lights out, except when he hasn't, and then he has been brutal. And I will also say this. This is also the type of team where if you are a bullpen reliever, every mistake you have is magnified because the offense is not good enough to get you a 4-run lead in the 7th. You've got a 1-run lead in the 7th when you're coming in. Now, the problem with Jax as well is that he's always put into high leverage situations.
Yep.
Ty France gets to be in a high leverage situation when his time comes up in the order and there's a runner on third base with one out, right? Griffin Jax is saved for high leverage situations, and you can argue whether or not he should be. But what we have seen is he'll blow it in like the 8th, and then, yesterday, maybe they'll move him down to the 7th inning, but then he's dominant again for 2-3 weeks. So I don't think this is an Alex Colomé situation. I don't think it's an Emilio Pagan situation.
Let me use the hockey analogy of it's the third liner that succeeds because he's going up against the other team's third defensive pairing and goes up against the third line. Then you elevate him up in the lineup. And now all of a sudden he's going up against tougher defensemen and tougher checking forwards, and the scoring isn't the exact same.
Yeah, I mean, I think I really believe I truly have faith that Griffin Jax is going to end this season looking like a all-star reliever. But so far, the text is absolutely right. He has not come through in several clutch situations this year, and it makes the absurd other numbers he's putting up look very mediocre because he got a 4.6 ERA.
This one's from Mark. He says, another negative one. How many more times do we have to watch Tommy Watkins get Twins base runners thrown out at home?
I actually don't think Tommy Watkins has done a terrible job this year. I think we saw it. We've seen it a couple times over the last week where, Correa got tagged up and came home, I think that was yesterday, and got thrown out while away. And another one where we saw Wallner come home. I think that was in the A's series, if I remember correctly. I think Wallner got a really, really bad break on that ball. I was surprised Tommy sent him. I think Watkins has actually been pretty conservative for the most part on that. I mean, this just is not a fast team. He probably should be more conservative, but in general, I think he's I think we've also seen a couple times, it was in the Seattle series where, he got, I think it was Wallner got thrown out in Seattle, but he also had another one where they ended up scoring an important run because they sent them. And it's because he gambled that the throw would be up the line a little bit, and the throw was up the line a little bit and ended up being an important run. So I don't know. I have trouble judging third base coaches in terms of their overall metrics because you only notice them when they F up.
Yeah.
You never notice them when they make the good call. That is nobody in
They're like offensive linemen.
Nobody in any major league market thinks their third base coach is any good at their job.
Well, I have to imagine too, it's probably not easy to be a third base coach. There are so many variables that go into every decision.
Yes.
And you're making that decision in the snap of a finger, right? You're judging how fast the runner is,
yes,
where he is when the outfielder gets the ball, how good of an arm that outfielder has, how long of a throw the outfielder has to make, who's on deck, how many outs there are. Do I trust the batter on deck that they could drive this run in? Should I be aggressive here? Score of the game, time of the game, right? There's a billion variables, and you got to make that decision split second.
Of the factors that you just talked about, I think one that fans don't recognize enough is how many outs are there. That you are much, much, much more conservative if there's 0 outs or 1 out than if there are 2 outs.
Correct.
And it makes sense. You've got plenty of other opportunities to score if there's 0 outs. If you with 2 outs, we'll maybe take a chance here. So
that's why I like coaching 10-year-olds and 8-year-olds. So you just send them every time. They're not making the play. They're not going to make the play.
That's right.
It says, obviously the Tigers are off to a hot start, but is this sustainable or will we see regression given their overperformance? Or is this a legit AL Central contender and the Twins will battle for a wild card?
Well, on the one hand, I mean, they were recently one of the best teams, maybe the best record in Major League Baseball. I don't think they're quite that right now, but they're right up there. And I will also say this, which is,
they got the best record in baseball right now.
They have the best record in baseball.
Yeah.
And I think they might have the highest run differential in baseball as well. Like they've outscored as many teams. They've outscored by 90.
The Yankees are 3 ahead of them.
Okay, that's right.
Cubs are up like 13 on them.
Okay, all right. So, I mean, that is a legitimate, when you've outscored your opponents by 100 runs, you're probably a pretty legitimate team.
Yeah.
Right? At this point in the season. That said.
Wish I would have bet them in Vegas before the year.
That said, And I'll also say this. They're, 20 games over 500, something like that? At
19, yeah.
Okay, so even if they play 500 baseball, they're a 91-win team. Like, that's going to be a tough team to beat. That said, we saw them here for a 3-game series. Twins took one of the 3, and that was when we were slumping terribly. I think our next outing, the Twins face them at the end of June in Detroit, and then the Twins face them twice in the first half of August, right after the trade deadline. We're going to see the Tigers, and I think that's going to go a long ways towards determining. When they came here in April, I didn't think to myself, "Oh, this is a really, really good team that they're facing." Mm-hmm. Now, we also didn't see Skubal. We saw the rest of the pitching staff, and their offense has really, really come around, which was one of their weaknesses the past few years. Are they for real? I don't believe they're going to run away and hide. How about that? Now, that might just be my bias from having watched the Tigers for the last 10 years in the AL Central. So
sure, take
that for what it's worth. Even baseball analysts have trouble believing until you actually show it for a full season. And I haven't watched enough Tigers baseball to really think to myself, "Oh, this team is unbeatable."
There's too many times over a 2-month stretch you can be fooled by teams and players and pitchers. Yeah.
I thought the Twins might be absolute trash a month ago. So, yeah. Right.
I thought Miguel Sano was worthy of an 8-year, $80 million contract after seeing him for 1 month of baseball.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah. Things change. We're going to be going a little deep on this one, so I hope you're able to answer this one. But
give it a try.
What does John think of what Walker Jenkins and Emmanuel Rodriguez are doing in the minors? And does he think either of them could make their major league debut this season?
Okay, Walker Jenkins is the Twins' #1 prospect. He was I think the 5th overall pick a couple years back, and that was in the strongest Major League Baseball draft we've seen for a while. I think a lot of years he could have been the overall #1 pick. Same pick that Skubal came out of, or same draft that Skubal came out of. And Walker Jenkins is right now, I think he is rehabbing in low A right now after suffering an ankle injury in spring training, and he was probably going up to Double A and will be playing with the Wichita Wind Surge probably, I don't know, within a week or two. He is a consensus top 20 prospect overall in Major League Baseball. So he's very worthy of being a #1 for the Twins. I do not think he will be available this year. He's missed already, 1/3 of the season. And I don't anticipate him, jumping from Double A. The Twins whereas they used to occasionally bring people up from Double A, the Fallview organization hasn't really done that. They've made them go spend some time at Double A and then some time at Triple A. So no, I don't think we'll see Walker Jenkins this year. And I mean, I will say this, as good as he has looked when he is healthy, he's had some injury problems already. He missed a lot of time last year with a hamstring problem, and he's missed a lot of time this year with an ankle problem. That seems to be a consistent theme throughout the Twins organization, not just at the major league level, but at the minor league level. And another person that is impacted by that is Emmy Rodriguez, who I think is our #3 prospect in the Twins organization at Twins Daily. Emmy Rodriguez is playing center field for the St. Paul Saints, except right now he's not playing center field for the St. Paul Saints because he's hurt. I think he's got a hip injury going on right now. And he is somebody that you'll be interested to see how he develops. He's an odd player in that he's kind of got almost a Miguel Sano type of approach at the plate. Like, he hits a lot of home runs, he gets a lot of walks, he also strikes out a lot. But when he has been healthy, he thrived at Double A. He was doing pretty well in St. Paul before this latest injury. He also had an ankle injury throughout spring training, so he missed part of the season. He also has not played a lot this season. So I don't know if we will see him. And I will also just say this. I think he's going to have to get healthy and he's going to have to thrive. Would I be surprised to see him in August or September? If the Twins have some injuries in their outfield, I wouldn't be terribly surprised. But they also have a fair number of options in their outfield right now. Buxton's healthy. Wallner's healthy. Larnach is out there. Willie Castro has been absolutely on fire and playing basically just been your starting left fielder now for the last week and a half. Luke Keeschel can play on the outfield, and he's going to be coming back healthy. He's the Twins' #2 prospect. It's just above Emmy. So I don't know if Emmy will fight his way into this picture for 2025. But I think we're going to want to keep an eye on him for 2026.
Don't know if you can answer this in like 30 to 40 seconds, but Is it time for Rocco to go? Are there other managers out there to replace him or an upcoming guy in the Twins organizations? People always want to fire the head coach.
Yeah.
I've seen it with Chris Finch.
Yeah.
I guarantee you John Hines at the Wild, they get off to a slow start. Like his honeymoon's about to be over now that the contracts have begun. Like John Hines will be under it next year.
Yep.
The way they're playing, can you attack the coach or the manager, I should say?
Dude just finished off with 14 game winning streak? No, I think I will say this. End of April, I thought maybe they might have been close.
Yeah.
7-15, I thought they might be in trouble. I thought he in particular might be trouble.
If they end the season like they did last year.
Right.
Then
yes,
that
on
could
top
happen.
of that. Right. But no, right now I would say he's doing fine. We'll have to see how the rest of the year plays out, though, because we've seen this team can slump. And when they slump, sometimes they don't come out of it as cleanly as a 13-game win streak.
I'd like to hear more of your Twins takes. Where could I hear that?
Twins Daily. We've got... If you like to follow the Twins Daily, you should be checking out Twins Daily and also Gleaming in the Game podcast. You can get the free show on iTunes. You can also check out and get more coverage at the patreon.com/Gleaming.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it. Thanks to Dane Moore from the Dane Moore podcast for joining as well. Thank you, Brett. Appreciate your help as always. Comments back tomorrow. Thanks for listening today. It's been a good day.
Listen back to any of Common Man's programs by podcasting on the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.
Want to feel more creative but don't have the right laptop? Lenovo.com can help. Look through our legendary lineup of AI-powered PCs and devices and find the one that fits your passion. Our PCs powered by Intel Core Ultra processors, as well as cutting-edge AI tools, allow students to focus, learn, and create with ease. That's the power of Lenovo with Intel inside. Plus, college students and teachers can get 5% off their order. Shop now on Lenovo.com. The future's waiting, and it needs you.
You know what's great about your investment account with the big guys? It's actually a time machine. Log in and zoom. Welcome back to 1999. It's time for an upgrade. At Public.com, you can invest in almost everything. Stocks, bonds, options, and more. You could even put your cash to work at an industry-leading 4.1% APY. Leave your clunky, outdated platform behind at Public.com. Go to Public.com and fund your account in 5 minutes or less. Paid for by Public Investing Inc., member FINRA and SIPC. Full disclosures at Public.com/disclosures.
You know, some people say that Odoo business management software is like fertilizer, the way it promotes growth and all. But other people say Odoo is like a magic beanstalk because it grows with your company and is also magically affordable. And there's some people who would even say Odoo's individual software programs come together to build the perfect suite like building blocks. Well, Odoo is all of these things. Fertilizer, magic beanstalk, building blocks for business. So sign up now at odoo.com, ODOO.com.